just because on the letter it had a stick figure hanging from a tree with a gun pointing towards it. Did I make that up too? Absolutely.
What happened that night, Jussie?
I can't tell you honestly. It was a Muslim or a Mexican or someone black. We started tussling, you know, it was very icy, and they ran off. And I saw where they ran, and my manager was still on the phone. So I picked up the phone and I said, Brandon, and he's like, what's going on? Then I said, hey, I'm gonna run to Subway, which was across the street, and I'm gonna get a salad, do you want anything? And then I look down and I see that there's a rope around my neck, which I hadn't,
you hadn't noticed it before?
No,
you didn't
because
see?
It was so fast.
What do you say to a young gay man, a young gay person?
I want a little gay boy. I understand how difficult it will be to find them, but we gotta.
Thank you, Jussie.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quarter. I'm going to have an excellent update for you. You're just going to love this. It turns out that Jussie Smollett, you might know him as Jussie Smollett. Most of us know him as Jussie Smollett, the French actor, the one that faked a terrible crime with the sole purpose of tearing this country apart, with the sole purpose of enriching himself. It turns out may have made a very big tactical decision in trying to appeal his conviction. Now, I knew this at the time, that it was only going to get worse for him. But now it looks like it is going to get worse for him. And it couldn't be happening to a bigger piece of garbage, a more deserving person on the planet. Here's this article. Jussie Smollett appealing his crime hoax conviction wasn't the smartest decision, according to expert. Empire actor Jussie Smollett petitioned the Illinois Supreme Court to intervene in his conviction. Jussie Smollett's decision to continue to appeal his crime hoax conviction was, quote, not the smartest move for the disgraced actor, an expert familiar with the case told Fox News Digital. Well, I wouldn't think that it is very... I mean, I don't think Jussie Smollett is a particularly smart individual, and I don't think this was a particularly smart decision. Smollett filed the petition on February 5th, requesting the Illinois High Court to intervene in his ongoing legal drama. By the way, all this is to avoid, what, a 6-month sentence? He could have been out by now. If he had actually just gone in at the time he was convicted, he probably would have served 2 weeks, maybe, and been let out. Like, almost certainly, he would have been out way before his full 6-month sentence. Like, there's no question about it. Everyone else gets out early, and he's a Hollywood actor. He'd have been out he probably would have been out in a week or 2 weeks, tops. And he would have sat in solitary confinement for that entire time and never had to deal with the unwashed masses. A jury previously found Smollett guilty on 5 of the 6 charges of disorderly conduct after nearly 2-week trial in 2021. Smollett, who is black and gay, reported to the Chicago police that, of course, 2 white guys in downtown Chicago told him that it was MAGA country and put a piece of rope around his neck, which, of course, never happened. Nobody believed it happened even at the time he said it did. Quote, I agree. The smartest move would have been to do the time and get it behind him, branding expert Eric Schiffer told Fox News Digital. These moments where you are revisiting the facts of the case in which he severely damaged his trust with the public further reinforces him as a personality the public can't trust. Instead, had he just done the time, he could have begun to rebuild himself and his story and focus on new things, Schiffer added. This could have included projects, community service, or nonprofits where the narrative isn't the overhang of how he tried to pull a giant fraud on the public. Yeah, I think that's fair. Smollett was sentenced to just 150 days, so it wasn't even 6 months. It was barely over 4 months. I'll call it 5 months, I guess, to be fair. It was 5 months. But he would have probably done a month at most. I am certain he wouldn't have done more than a month before getting let out. Of course, then he also had to pay for all the overtime and everything else like that. The Empire actor wants his conviction overturned. Quote, what should have been a straightforward case has been complicated by the intersection of politics and public outrage, Smollett's attorney wrote in the new filing. What do you mean? Does anybody is who exactly doesn't think that he lied about it? I mean, everybody knows he lied. Everybody does. And so I'm not exactly sure what could have gotten complicated by it. The whole thing was a joke. They repeated an argument from previous appeals saying that his 2021 trial violated his Fifth Amendment protections against double jeopardy, which it didn't, or being punished twice for the same crime. They said he already performed community service and forfeited a $10,000 bond as part of a 2019 deal with Cook County State's Attorney's Office to drop the initial 16 counts of disorderly conduct. Well, yeah, if you remember, the individual who was behind that, I believe her name was Kim Fox, was corrupt. I think also she took a phone call from Big Mike Obama. I don't know if you know, if you've heard of Big Mike Obama, but he also sometimes goes by Michelle, calling it personal favors for Jussie Smollett too. The whole system's corruption was on full display for everyday Americans who, I believe, at least if you believe like I do, believe that he should have served every single day of that 150-day sentence because he was perfectly fine inflaming race relations, a time in which race relations in this country were, the worst they've been in 100 years, right? 50 years at least, to enrich himself and get better roles. That's why he did it. He didn't do it because he was mentally ill or suffering a breakdown. He did it for attention and fame. Eric Anderson, counsel at Early Sullivan, Wright, Geiser, and McRae, told Fox News Digital, quote, "If you have the resources to fight a conviction, then you should use those resources." Oh, wow, a lawyer said you should hire lawyers? Oh, wow, shocking. One of the problems with our justice system is the ability to challenge hinges on whether or not wealth or access to wealth of a defendant or the goodwill of those willing to do the work at a reduced or no cost to the defendant. True. Smollett has a 50-50 chance of having his conviction overturned. I don't believe he does. According to Anderson, if the Illinois Supreme Court were to take up Smollett's case, they shouldn't, by the way, they'll likely focus on one of Smollett's 5 arguments behind the appeal, the legal expert explained. Smollett's legal team is arguing that the state breached its null pros agreement or a non-prosecution agreement by indicting him in the hate crime hoax. In the agreement, Smollett had been told he could perform community service, forfeit his bond, and the case would be dismissed. Yes, from a corrupt office. I don't think she even works there anymore. If I am correct, I don't think Kim Fox is involved anymore there. Is she? God, I hope she isn't. Anderson noted that the Illinois Supreme Court could want to answer questions specifically around his argument, such as just how much value can one rely upon a negotiated null pros in the state. He detailed how detailed must the argument be. Smollett's legal case is going to be seen as poison for casting, Anderson added, but having his conviction overturned could be good not only for his life, but for his career. No, he should do every one of those 150 days. Every single one of them. Not a day less. Schiffert, chairman of Reputation Management Consultants, believes Smollett can rebuild himself, but he needs time to heal his reputation. When you keep reminding the public constantly of what a giant con and fraud you were attempting to pull, that's not the best strategy for trying to rebuild in Hollywood. Well, I would say that Hollywood doesn't probably care, to be honest with you, but the general public does. And like I said, this was in 2021. I can't even believe that. Man, I've been doing this job too long. 2021. Okay. That means he would have already been out of prison for over 2 years by now. Actually, 2020. He would have been out of prison for 2 going on 3 years by now. No one would have even remembered it. Well, I guess people would have. But now he's back in the headlines again. I get to make another video reminding people that this loser exists. Reminding the funniest part too about this is it's all his ego. His ego, okay, is what got him into this trouble in the first place. He thought he deserved more money, thought he deserved more screen time, more roles, this, that, and the other thing. His ego wouldn't let him go to prison. His ego said he has no thoughts of self-harm, and raised his black power fist to the sky as he was getting carried away. His ego has caused him to want to, he continues, He needs memories to fade and headlines and stories associated to him that are about rebuilding his life, focusing on things that would help the community and projects that he may be in and are new, and not further headlines that are tied to his terrible choices. Well, the comments, he is guilty and needs to face consequences. Too many people are never held accountable for these days because too many people feel sorry for them, or lawyers and politicians make excuses for them. I agree. His lawyer said he has a 50-50 chance of getting it overturned. That attorney has a 100% chance of getting paid either way. He should have been sentenced to twice a jail term a criminal would have gotten if he actually was a hate crime. What he did was very wrong. Of course, I mean, I agree. I 100% agree. The fact that he's trying to go to the Supreme Court in all of this is embarrassing for him. You know, this is just 2 months ago. Of course, his conviction over stage attack upheld by Illinois court. So now his last ditch effort is going to be to go to the Supreme Court, which I hope that they don't even hear it. Because why would you even need to take this to the Supreme Court? Everybody with two sets of eyes, heck, anybody with one set of eyes, right, can see that he faked this. The evidence is overwhelming. There's nothing to appeal here. He is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And because he's got such a stupid ego, he's going to continue to appeal it. He should have been out of prison years ago. But now he's going to keep putting his name in the headlines, and people are going to keep dunking on him, and I'm absolutely here for it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, please do follow down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.